Hello, everyone. Welcome to Glitterati Talks, where we celebrate the brilliance behind the camera and the courage behind the creative journey. This is a show where the spotlight meets the soul. Today, we spotlight a storyteller, producer, and director who has carved his name into the heart of the film world. Introducing the one and only Mr. Bart Weiss. Mr. Bart, thank you so much for being here today.
Happy to be here.
So tell us a little bit more of your background, who you were before the world got to know you.
Well, growing up, I actually didn't watch very many films at all. When I was in college, I took a film class, and I really, really liked it. I had a great time. I had a film that I made that got into a festival, which was amazing. Nobody in my school ever applied to a festival, and so having some kind of success early on was really good. And then I realized that I was kind of good at telling other people what to do. So I thought, maybe it would be good for me to go to graduate school and get a degree and then be able to teach, which is what I did. And in graduate school, which was at Columbia, New York, I learned a lot. It was great to be a film student in New York. There were all kinds of things going on, and I was learning about electronic music and filmmaking and learning from a lot of really great people. And my thesis film was a half-an-hour comedy, and it showed at festivals like around the world. And it really transformed me from just being a filmmaker like other people in my class to other things. And so that was really great. I also got to know what a film festival was like, which a lot of other people didn't do. And then I got a job as a film teacher, first in West Virginia, where I was the only film teacher in the state of West Virginia.
Oh, wow. The entire state.
Weird. And it was a crazy year, but I learned an awful lot. And then I got a job teaching here in Dallas, and I've been in Dallas ever since. But while I was here, I was making films, and I was working crew. If you've ever been to the 6th Floor Museum, I edited the films that are there in 1988. Wow. It was a long time ago. And that was like tape to tape editing. It was not very easy to do. But in 1987, I realized that there was this world of video that people weren't paying attention to. And I thought, wouldn't it be fun if I did a festival that was just devoted to video, not having any idea what it meant? Like most of everything that I've done, I said, gee, that sounds like a good idea. Let's do it, and then we'll figure out what that means. Like, how do you get a video projector at the Hotel Auditorium? Well, that wasn't easy, but I figured it out. Mm-hmm. And so then for 34 years, I ran this festival, the Dallas Video Fest, and I got to meet so many magnificent filmmakers. We got to show work from people I really loved. It's great when you can call a famous filmmaker and say, hey, come to somebody you really admire, and you get to spend time with them and meet with them, and also get to show people in Dallas work they otherwise wouldn't see. So I've been really lucky that I make films. I'm still making films. I write about films. I have 2 podcasts about films. One is about documentary films. Another one's about film festivals. I write, I do a weekly newsletter. My whole life is really geared around filmmaking in so many different ways.
That's amazing. Wow, quite a journey, huh?
Yes.
So what inspired you to go into filmmaking? Why not any other career? Where did you get that vision? What was the dream?
Well, it wasn't much of a dream. It was sort of like it seemed like a fun class. And early on, I made a documentary about a protest in the Vietnam War that'll tell you how far back it was. And And when I looked at the footage, it was kind of nice and traditional. But then when I slowed down the footage, it transformed it into something much more beautiful. And then watching people react to that film was like, oh, this is good. And then there was this other moment while I was making that film that was really, to me, changed my life. I was editing that film all night, and it was like 7 a.m, and I realized I've been sitting at my desk editing, and I wasn't tired. I was inspired. It was fun. And unlike writing a paper, which back in those days, you had a typewriter, and if you made a mistake, you had to start over again. Like doing that was awful. I hated that. But there was something magical about putting images together and getting something that didn't exist before and having them make sense in a different kind of way. That's really the moment when I knew that filmmaking was right for me.
Oh, wow. Wow. That sounds very, very amazing.
Yeah, it's a lot better than writing papers. Little did I know that later I'd have to grade them.
Yeah. Well, I've started off on a typewriter too, so I understand what it's like to just take it out, crumble it up, and start all over. Yeah. So was there ever a turning point in your career that made you realize, wow, I'm really doing this. I'm really going to keep doing this?
Well, I mean, there are many points when, well, let me put it this way. I never really thought that I would not be doing this, but I understood that I would be doing it in a way that was different than other people. So success for me was not about trying to win an Oscar or do anything like that. I was always very focused on independent films, personal films, sometimes experimental films, sometimes music videos, sometimes documentaries, sometimes drama, unfortunately, all of those genres. But to me, it was making a film that was really good. And so success for me was not what other people did. But I had this balance that I made in my life where I'm making film, I'm teaching film, I'm programming film, I'm writing about film. Like all of these different things work in different ways, but they also all are in service of people need to see good, interesting films and understand them in a better, different kind of way. Mm-hmm. Not sure that I answered your question, but I think I got close to it.
Yes, absolutely. So what kind of stories are you most drawn to in your world?
You know, to me, there's so many different kinds of stories and different kinds of ways of storytelling. Obviously, stories that sort of, resonate with me. And documentary, obviously, we're in a time when politics is really important. So things that kind of reveal things that you didn't know about. But I've also I did this series called Firebones, which is like a 4-hour series meant to be seen on a mobile phone that was, it was written by a poet, and it is non-traditional narrative filmmaking where 2/3 of the episodes are audio only. So trying to come up with a new way of storytelling for a mobile device. It's really quite beautiful. And the crazy part of that is I also act in it as well, and I usually don't act in my own films.
Oh, awesome.
But I'm looking for something unique, something that excites me. And in every medium, in every project, there's something that's there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it can be poetic, it can be a documentary, comedy.
And also experimental. Back in the 70s and 80s, I was doing things where I would process film in different kinds of ways, and I would layer things together, and it was much more of a experimental film tradition. And it's rare. Most people focus on one lane, but I've focused on many lanes of aesthetics.
So you mentioned 70s and 80s, which means you started with the VHS and then the DVDs, and now it's
way before that. I started in Super 8 film, and then 16 millimeter film, and then let's see, there was this medium called half-inch reel-to-reel video, which is really hard to see very much anymore, but it was revolutionary at the time that people could shoot this video and then play it back right away. People did amazing things with that medium, but it looked awful. It was very grainy and it very low resolution. But yeah, I've worked on many different media. So to me, like, media is constantly changing, and any artist needs to like understand what the new media does and do it well. And there are a lot of people where anytime something new comes around, they like, no, I know how to do this. I don't want to learn new things. But image making is always about learning new tools.
Yeah. Especially these days with the incorporation of AI,
Yes.
lots of newer things. It's like we have to move along with the times and learn and grow.
It's been this way, you know, in the very, very early days of motion pictures. There were these cameras that people were using, and the cameramen thought that their skills were being able to crank the camera at 18 frames a second. Well, a company came and made a motor that would do that. And all the cameramen said they would never use that because then, like, anybody can shoot. Their skill was being able to crank this. They thought they would be out of a job. And so from the beginning of filmmaking, people have been afraid of adopting new technologies. And I think that the great filmmakers are always learning to work with those new technologies and see how effective they can be with them.
Yeah, that's wonderful. So, Mr. Bart, was there a specific filmmaker or film that has influenced you?
Well, that's not an easy question to ask because I was interested in so many different kinds of film. And for each genre that I was working in, there were key influential. Like for experimental films early on, Ed Ebschwiller was a big influence on me. He did a lot of dance films, and I liked the way he processed images and worked with them in a very poetic way. In documentary, I would say the Maisel brothers, Albert and David Maisel. And it was one of the great things about running our festival is I got to bring Al down for 7 years and spend time with, one of my great heroes and, be his friend and hang out with him. And it's just such an incredibly cool thing. And then for narrative films, I could certainly say Orson Welles, but I think, like, as a film teacher, you're supposed to say Orson Welles.
Oh,
that's what you're supposed to. But each of those, in its own way, has had a profound influence on the way I think about film.
That's wonderful. Yes, it's really nice to have leaders and mentors that you can lean on as you continue to grow.
Yeah.
So what's the toughest part about your job?
Writing.
Writing, okay. So it's behind the scenes work. Huh?
Writing is really, really hard for me. I'm really good. Like I mentioned, when I was starting out, I can edit all night, and moving images around and words around on film, I enjoy that. Writing is just so difficult. And, I had to write a book. I'm writing another book. Every week I write a column. Writing is like very, very hard. I have to play some music, get my body rhythm down, and then I can focus for maybe 40 minutes, and then I have to like calm down again.
Okay.
and a lot of it comes from, as a kid, I had ADD, but nobody knew what that was when I was a kid, so there was no treatment for it. So in school, like, I didn't learn about grammar or spelling. And so when I write, it's like, I'll write 2 sentences and I'll look at it. So, I gotta fix that. I gotta fix that. And so it's like, tummy. You can't write. And like, I can write well. It's just my spelling and grammar are awful.
Mhm.
And that makes the writing process very difficult.
Oh, I see. Well, you've learned some ways to overcome some of those challenges.
They're called deadlines.
They're called deadlines. That's great. So how do you handle burnout with all of this going on in your mind?
Burnout's never really been a problem for me because I always have something else to do. Like, so if I'm working on a project and I'm like stuck, then I'll just save that and then I'll work on this other project. And, you know, there's always so many deadlines and things I've got going on. And that's a great thing, is because some people, if you're just doing one thing and you just don't have that day, that's a real kind of struggle. But I do have a trick that works for me when I'm like when I just can't figure out what to do.
Mm-hmm.
Oftentimes I've been sitting at my desk for hours and what I find, and I don't know why this works, but if I take a shower and I have this hot water hitting right here at the top of my neck, all of a sudden, something that was like unknown to me becomes like obvious.
Wow.
And the other thing is, sometimes I'll answer the question I needed, and sometimes I'll figure out a problem that I forgotten I had a problem with.
Okay.
But it just, often when you're sitting in front of your desk working, everything is in front of you and it's hard to access this other part, the creative part of your brain that can, you know, come up with something else. And removing yourself from that is, I think, a really good way to find the answers you need.
Yeah. So hot water right up here.
Right here. There you go.
Okay, I'll have to try that.
Oh.
So what are some of your favorite accomplishments or projects or things that you've worked on that you really, really feel are the highlights of your career?
Well, there have been, I mean, so many and in so many different ways. I made this, oops, sorry, I didn't mean to hit the microphone there. So about a year ago, almost a year ago, there was an interview with Albert Maysles, the filmmaker I was talking about when he came. Andy Streifeld is one of my board members, shot an interview with him. And he sent me this footage and said, why don't you make that into a film? And so I did, and that film is now played in 10 film festivals. And what's really great is I'm writing a book about film festivals. So now I'm going to festivals and like seeing it in a really different kind of way. But there are so many things, like just running a festival was such a great honor and such a great thing to do. And when we closed it down, like the last year of that, the last festival, it was just an amazing thing.
What was that festival?
The Dallas Video Fest, which ran for 34 years.
Wow.
Which is like amazing. And all the different things that we went through and changed in different kind of ways, tried to make it change with the times. And back then there was no, like, how do you do a festival? There was no, like, couldn't figure that out. We had to like learn on the fly. I remember one time, very early on, I had a friend who was doing websites, and back then that was a very rare thing. Nobody knew what it was. And I told somebody, said, we're going to have a website. And that means everybody around the world will be able to see what we're doing. And she said, well, nobody will want that. But we early on figured out how to use technology in really innovative ways. We were the first people to not show something on tape, but as a digital file in a movie theater. And we sort of pioneered how to do that. And now everybody's kind of doing that. We've always were trying to find a way to use technology to be more efficient.
That's amazing. It seems like you've paved the way for a lot of people who followed in your footsteps, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. So Bart, What is the biggest challenge you faced during production?
I'll tell you a couple of stories. One was from a long time ago, and one was from not as long time ago. So when I was in graduate school, we were making our thesis film. And I remember most everybody in the program didn't know very many actors and weren't casting their films well, which meant that most of the other films didn't look very good. We were very much concerned about cinematography and editing, and that's what they were teaching us, and very little about working with actors. Me and my partner we got the rights to a short story, and the author said, I know this great actor who could be in it. And it was great. He was wonderful. So we were getting our first shoot of this film. There's a lot of pressure to do this. And this actor, who was wonderful, what he had to do on that day was thread a film projector. His role was, he was a critic and a film projectionist. And he was incredibly frustrated. And I thought that's it, we're going to lose our great actor. And this project will be horrible. And we're just going to have bad actors, just going to be bad. Mm. What happened is he was very distraught after that. And we had a meeting with him over coffee, and he said, you have to learn how to talk to me.
Wow.
And you have to learn how to ask me for what you want. And I'm happy to do that. You just have to learn to ask. And that was so transformative. It was amazing. And his performance was absolutely great. And then the irony is, okay, so that's the male lead. The female lead was the girlfriend of somebody from the film school, and she was a horrible actress. But the story was about this guy who was a film critic and hires this awful filmmaker. It was a comedy, and her films were awful. So it took us a year to edit this film from 1 hour, which was all the scenes we wrote, to a half an hour, so that every time she said more than one line of dialogue, we cut to one of her bad movies. And so the bad performances, we learned how to cut around. And that was really kind of an important thing to learn. And learning how to edit and learning what you could do in editing meant that you could direct differently. Okay, so in the Firebones project, this thing that was this poetic thing, it's 4.5 hours. We had one location. There was a scene that takes place in a grain silo. And me and my partner, Greg, drove around Dallas and also around Arkansas. We drove around and around and around, and we could not find a silo that we could shoot in that would give us permission. And we were down to 2 days before shooting. And we were just driving around, and had lunch someplace, and we told the person at the counter we saw this really cool place we want to shoot, but we didn't find anybody. He says, oh, I know who owns that. Mm-hmm. Gave us the number. We called them up, and they said, well, I don't own this today, but I will tomorrow. And yes, I can give you permission. And it's amazing that all worked. And it was an incredibly beautiful location. It was absolutely wonderful.
Oh, that's wonderful. So you learned to ask for what you want.
Which is a real problem. Mm-hmm. And film students are afraid to ask for what they want. Mm-hmm. So I have this exercise that I tell them, because it's a skill to learn to ask for what you want. Mm-hmm. I said, when you go to a restaurant, and there's something on the menu, and it's not exactly the way you want, ask for what you want. Mm-hmm. I want that hamburger, but I want it done this way with this on it and that on it. And it gets you to think that, yes, I am worthy of getting what I want, and I'm not afraid to ask for what I want. Mm. And as a filmmaker, you have to. If you don't ask for what you want, you will compromise and it'll never be as good as it could be.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's very interesting. I'll definitely try that trick at a restaurant.
So you out there, do that exercise.
Exercise.
And apologize to your server.
So Bart, what was the hardest time, the most challenging time of your life throughout this journey? And how did you overcome that?
Oh, okay. So I told you I came to Dallas to teach. I had a teaching job at SMU, and I moved down here. And during that year, there was a new guy who was running the program at SMU, and he fired everybody that was not tenured.
Oh, wow.
And he tried to fire the tenured people, but he was not successful in that. So here I was in Dallas without a job. Mm-hmm. And I'd moved down here to do this. And that was a pretty dark time. But something absolutely crazy happened. Mm-hmm. So I was having lunch with my girlfriend at the time. And some guy came over and we were talking, and I said, wouldn't it be really cool if there was a nightclub that showed music video? There's this club in New York called the Ritz Club, and they have this big screen, and music videos are really big now. This is the early days of MTV. And the next day, the guy calls me and he said, do you want to do that thing that you, and of course, didn't even remember what I talked about. And he said, yeah, I'm renting this place on Lower Greenville. It could either be a gym or that thing you want. Do you want to do it? Mm-hmm. So out of that came what was known as On the Air, which was this nightclub that showed music videos. And I didn't know how to do that. I was a film guy. This was video. I had to learn all this video equipment. And what I didn't know was that every major record label had an office in Dallas. Oh. So I would visit them every week and say, you got a new Talking Heads video. I need it on Beta Hi-Fi.
Okay.
And so we had all of the latest music videos that were available. And it was this incredible opportunity because it was a very cool place and people would come and hang out in the booth. And I got to meet people from the Dallas Morning News. I got to meet all these movers and shakers in Dallas because I was at this place that was kind of edgy and cool. And this was showing stuff that you couldn't see on MTV. Mm-hmm. And we were mixing all kinds of crazy stuff. And that really sort of changed the course of what I was able to do. Out of doing that, I got a column in the Dallas Morning News writing about music video and then later about home video.
Oh, wow. That's impressive.
Yeah, particularly for somebody who can't write very well.
Oh, yeah.
And it's every time I was like, why did I do this? Oh. And then later I got another column that was syndicated around the country. Mm-hmm. So sometimes you just have to ask for things.
Yeah. Wow, that's powerful. So was there ever a time you felt like giving up? And what was it that kept you going?
I don't think I ever really thought of giving up on anything. Although I did give up on my festival after 34 years. Mm-hmm. And that was really, I thought that what we set out to do, we'd already done. Mm-hmm. And during most of the run of our festival, what we were doing was very different than what the Dallas International Film Festival or the USA Film Festival or the Oak Cliff Film Festival was doing. But things that Oak Cliff were doing were very similar to us. It's like what we were doing was not as needed as it was. And the one thing that I truly hate is raising money. If I had a really good fundraiser, I probably would still be doing that festival. But I never did because all the things we were doing were edgier than what other people were doing. And, it's easier to fund a festival when you're bringing in celebrities, it's a little more difficult when you're showing things that not everybody loves, but are instrumental to how people see the world. And so, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I would say that it was the completion of the Video Fest, not that you gave up or anything. It was something that completed a passion that you started for over 30 years, and it was completed.
Yeah.
And now you'll be moving on to other things, obviously.
Right. We're bringing back an element. We're going to do we're planning on doing an AI film festival. And the idea of that is like right back to where we were at the beginning. There's all this video work that people were making and nobody knew what it was about. People don't know that there's good AI films, and people are complaining about it for good reason. We will have a panel on the ethics of AI at the beginning, but I think showing the good work is a reflection of where we started.
Yes. And you've been through this many times where new things are coming out on the horizon, and you just have to adapt and teach people and allow people to comprehend, process, and then, gain momentum. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Just like the internet. I grew up in the 90s, so the www started coming out. Nobody knew what it was. And it's like, wow, the World Wide Web. And look at where we are today. But it takes adapting and moving along. And
searching for where those new things were. There was a time in our festival when we were showing interactive DVDs and CD-ROMs and all this other stuff.
Yeah.
And it was very exciting.
Yeah. So Bart, if you could be any actor in the world, who would you be and why?
Well, I would say to me, the best actor on film was Orson Welles. Oh. But if I was him, I'd be dead. So that's not a great idea. But, Orson Welles is, if you listen to almost anything he said, he says it in a way that is really engaging. I mean, he could read the phone book if he needed to and make it sound like it was really dramatic. And when I teach, I talk about him because if you watch any of his performance, you know how great they are. And most student filmmakers spend all their time writing and worrying about what camera they're going to use. And I tell them, if you got somebody as good as Orson Welles in your film, you don't care which camera it is or what lines they're reading. A good actor can make a mediocre script magnificent. Yeah. And so Orson Welles is the best.
Oh, that's awesome. Yes. So it's the skill set behind what they do. The natural instinct comes out. Yeah. So what is the one rule in filmmaking that you love to break?
Break. I tend to break all the rules.
You're a rebel.
Yeah. Well, that's how you learn how to do new things. I mean, when I went to film school, there were very specific rules, like you don't break the 180-degree net. Well, now people do that all the time. And there are so many ways in which you cut now that you wouldn't do traditionally. I guess the one rule is raise money. I don't raise money because I don't have any money. My way of making films is generally, well, we don't have any money. What can we do? And luckily, I would say the reason that I've done the things that I've done were that along the way, I would ask people to do things and they would do them. And I've been really, really lucky that I've been able to find great collaborators in so many ways and people that will go along with my vision. And I think that's one of the things that a lot of filmmakers don't think about is how to work with people, do favors for them, they'll do favors for you, and build a community of people to work with. And I think that's really important.
Yeah. It's a collaborative effort.
Yes.
Yeah. So if you had to describe yourself in 3 words, what would they be?
Okay. these are 3 words that are the title of a song from a band that I've been making a film about. And the band is called Brave Combo, and the song is called Do Something Different.
Okay.
So there it is.
Do something different.
Yes.
Yeah, that's amazing. Innovative, futuristic. I like it. So Bart, what is the most fulfilling part of the filmmaking process for you?
Well, so much of filmmaking is fun, stressful, wonderful, difficult, horrible. But to me, the best part is editing.
Editing.
And editing is great because when you're shooting, you have to deal with the problems of the real world. You know, was it lighting wasn't right, the actor didn't get the right line, or all the stuff that happened in the real world. When you're editing, if you're smart enough and you can figure it out, you can make things work that didn't work at all. You can find a way to take that story and make it sing, often in a way that you had not even imagined it when you wrote the script. And which, like, strangely, I didn't think about this. This harkens to where I began, where what really I enjoyed doing was editing. I stayed up all night and edited, and I knew that this was something for me. But there's something about looking at a scene that was just like befuddling you. It just wasn't working. And I went and took a shower,
in the hot water.
come back, and I say, move this around, you're okay, try that. And then just like, I don't know.
Yeah, the outcome. It's beautiful, huh?
And you know, it's like, are you smart enough and creative enough to find a way, a path to make something work?
Yeah.
That's what's really beautiful.
Yes. And are you patient enough to go through it?
Yeah.
So what's a piece of advice that you would give to your younger self?
Keep going. Don't give up. There's always somebody who's going to say, you can't do that. You shouldn't do that. There's no way that's going to work. And that's because those people don't have a sense of vision, or they have been stifled in a kind of way. And innovations happen when you are not afraid to do something different, do something bold, and go out there and try it. And, you know, the worst thing that can happen is it doesn't work, right? Actually, the worst thing that can happen is you didn't try it, so you never had a chance to make it work.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a big regret, you know.
Yeah. And the reason that people don't try is the biggest inhibitor to all creativity is fear of failure.
Yes.
You know, if you don't make something, you can say, hey, I'm a cool person. I got great ideas. Yeah, I'm cool. But if you think you're a cool person, you have great ideas, and you try and it doesn't work, then you might have to confront the reality that you're not as creative and cool as you thought you were. But if the fear of that stops people from doing what they really want to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
But the key, and this is really, really important, everybody, every creative person has fear of failure.
Yeah.
That means you're an artist. When Steven Spielberg starts another film, somewhere in the back of his head, he says, what am I doing? I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
But you just confront that that's part of the process, and you move forward. And you can't let that fear of failure stop you from doing something.
Yeah. Yeah. Those are beautiful words. Very inspirational. It's getting over the self-doubt and the voice in the head.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. Yeah. So Bart, how do you want the world to remember you, your legacy in the film and entertainment world, and what do you want us to remember about your legacy?
That I tried different things, that I didn't stay with one thing, realizing that it's over and keep doing it over and over again. that I think that if all of us keep looking to try new things in new kinds of ways and not being afraid of change, I think that's a really important thing to do. To embrace the new changes and find what's good in it.
That's amazing. Yes, yes. Well, I wanted to let you know it's been such an inspiration to sit here and talk with you.
But you know that I'm okay. I'm happy talking.
Yes. But so many words of wisdom and encouragement, and
It's just from being old.
I think it's more than that. It's the passion, it's the soul, and you're absolutely amazing.
It's very sweet. Thank you.
Thank you for being on our show today.